Very good morning to you. According to these latest reports, what are they saying about Tom Moyane?
Good morning, Uveka. Yes, the Daily Maverick's investigative arm Scorpio publishing this morning an astonishing story alleging that Sars boss Tom Moyane pressurized Sars officials who were trying to push back and hold the line against corruption, pressurizing them allegedly into making this at least 3 payouts to a third party on behalf of the Gupta company. The allegation is that he aided money laundering, fraud, corruption, and contravened the Tax Act, the FICA Act, and the Reserve Bank Act. Now, you cannot put VAT payments into third-party payments. This is companies. This apparently happened last year in May. A desperate call from Oak Bay's Annika Larsen in May 2017, saying they desperately needed a 70 million rand VAT payment. Now, in a week, this payment was made to a third-party company that was not VAT registered. Terbium is the name of the company, which this is unlawful. Along with the fact the speed at which these payments were made, 3 payments in total, and massive problems because SARS staff allegedly saying that they knew it was unlawful and they didn't want to do it, and they were pressurized allegedly by the SARS boss.
Now, we saw earlier this week, Annika, just that very urgent media briefing that was called. We saw Tom Moyane announcing the resignation of Jonas Makwakwa, who's been implicated in several things when it comes to these allegations of money laundering. Now, what sort of flack has Tom Moyane been taking for that? Because it's not the end of the story. It doesn't mean that the investigation into Makwakwa just goes away.
Well, that's right. Corruption Watch actually wants to start its own private prosecution against Moyane and Makwakwa into corruption, fraud and money laundering. Remember that the FIC, the Financial Intelligence Center, flagging unlawful payments into Makwakwa's account some time ago and allegations of a cover-up in a disciplinary. Makwakwa was suspended. He got a law firm, Hogan Lovells, to conduct a report, but that didn't look into any criminal prosecution or criminal actions on his behalf, only contravening certain parts of the Sars HR Act. And so Makwakwa was very reluctantly let go this week with an urgently called media conference by the Sars boss. He has been facing a lot of flack in Parliament from the Portfolio Committee on Finance, and we will try and get the chair of that committee to speak to us today, Yunus Karim. Problems already, investigations from the Hawks, Corruption Watch wanting its own private prosecution, certain rumours swirling that Tom Moyane will not see out his September end of contract, that it may come to an end sooner, and allegations and talk that perhaps Cabinet was going to discuss this week whether he should remain in his office. But certainly he's going to have to defend, and the Daily Maverick saying that when they contacted SARS about these latest allegations, which it's very serious, you know, to make third-party payments of VAT. You're looking at money laundering, fraud, corruption, racketeering, contravening of the FIC, stock exchange and banking legislation. All of those he needs to answer for. First saying that Tom Moyane distanced himself from the Gupta request, he had nothing to do with it, and then SARS saying that in fact he had used his discretion. So Moyane coming under a lot of pressure. It'll be interesting to see if he responds today and if Cabinet responds at all to these latest allegations. All
right, and very quickly, while I have you here, Annika, you've also been watching the Shaun Abrahams, Jacob Zuma saga, and we were all waiting to see where we would see Shaun Abrahams. Would that announcement or that talk he was supposed to have with Jacob Zuma about charges, would it be a phone call? Would it be a visit? Do we know whether anything has happened? Do we know whether that has actually materialized?
I personally don't know, but I did speak to Shaun Abrahams on, I think it was Wednesday night, when the Constitutional Court decided not to grant CASAC that urgent interdict, delaying the announcement of any possible prosecution against former President Jacob Zuma. Shaun Abrahams and his spokesperson, Luvuyo Mfaka, saying then that it was very likely that they would fly back to Cape Town on Thursday. Yesterday, they would start drafting a letter to the parties involved. That could be Tint as well, not just Jacob Zuma, and they would inform them, and then they would announce a media conference to discuss and announce whether a decision has been taken or not. We don't know yet whether that letter has in fact been written or how much time the NDPP wants to give the parties involved in that to respond or to digest the news before a media conference is held. But I think that we should be on watch today. The NPA saying they might have some sort of information by 10:30 this morning on the way forward.
Okay, we'll have to watch, wait and see. Thank you very much. Ian says Annika Larsen. We're back after the break.